I am Dr. Tijjani El badawy. I am a disaster risk geoscientist from Nigeria. So I work with the National Emergency Management Agency in Nigeria. So it's called NEMA. So NEMA is saddled with the responsibility of managing disasters and the disasters fallout in Nigeria. So basically the response, preparation, and kind of building resilience down to the community levels. So that is all we do.
Okay, this is interesting. And what kind of unusual climate disasters have happened in Nigeria this year? And what initiatives did the government take to combat it?
Okay, so most of our recurring disasters are basically climate-related disasters. So you have the chief of which is the flood. So we have flood in virtually almost all the states in Nigeria. So every year we go out, we do what we call the SCP, Seasonal Climate Prediction, with our partners and the annual flooding outlook. So we map the country into states that have high risk, medium risk, and low risk. And so we go out to advocate some of the measures that communities need to take, stakeholders, partners, governments at the state and the local levels, what they need to do in preparation to that. So this is part of what we do. And recently, in alignment with the global shift towards building resilience, we are advocating for a shift to mainstreaming or rather institutionalization of resilience, across sectors, across our platforms, rather than focusing on funding the disasters themselves or funding the response to disasters. So we want to fund more of the resilience. So basically, that is where the government's attention is going towards. We've recently launched strategies, plans, and frameworks that assist the government and its stakeholders in achieving that.
Okay. And Mr. Tijjani, for you personally, what inspires you the most in your work?
So my line of work is what it deals with directly with the people and seeing firsthand what happens to people if infrastructure fails as a result of disasters. How communities are directly affected, how people lose their livelihoods, how in some cases some communities become isolated, as a result of some of these disasters. So for me, it's beyond just a work. It's beyond just a profession. It's a calling, so to speak, because incidentally, my background also as a geoscientist allows me to understand some of these things from a scientific perspective and profile solutions. So I think I'm where I was supposed to be.
Okay, this is amazing. And some people might think, what's dangerous about the flood? That's just water. You get dry and that's it, So can you share a bit more details? What are the dangers of the flood?
Okay, so because some of these things happen unannounced, you can to some extent predict disasters, but you cannot completely prevent them from happening. So for flood, for example, there are a lot of cross-cutting issues. So you look at the immediate impact, of course, is damage to properties. In some cases, houses, get completely destroyed. Some cases, the water level is above the roof of the houses. So you see a direct relationship on livelihood. People lose their livelihood, their food stock. If you have farmlands, sometimes it washes away the farmlands. It cuts away some of the goats, the sheep, the cows, and all of that. But we also see the impact on health. So, for example, the flooding waters come with all sorts of contaminants. It washes away landfills. Sometimes you find some of these sewage tanks, what we call the septic tanks, being emptied by the flood water, and then it just keeps moving around. So you find most of the locations or most of the areas in Nigeria that are prone to flooding have a geology that is topsoil is porous. So within few days, you find some of the waters, percolating. with these contaminants and then contaminating the aquifers, the groundwater aquifers. So there's a lot of cross-cutting issues around environment, health, and livelihood. So it's not just water and then it goes away. No, it affects all of society, the ecosystem.
Thank you, Mr. Tijjani, for clarifying. And a few final questions. What are your impressions of COP-30 Brazil for this 4 days, and what results do you expect?
Yeah, so for most of what we do at NEMA is adaptation. Most of the expectations of most of the things that are advocated are things that we already do as an agency. So it's interesting to see some of the discussions, talking about building resilience, carrying along the communities engagement in decision making and all of that. It's really interesting. And so some of the takeaways I would like to see is, so apart from the technical expertise or technical depth, I would like to see collaboration across board as well. So, parties not reinventing the wheel, but learning from elsewhere. There are places that have experienced some disasters or some fallout as a result of climate-related disasters that have been managed very well. So these are learning lessons learned or learning curves that others can follow. So without reinventing the wheel, so sharing some of these experiences through collaborations, capacity buildings, partnerships, learning visits and what have you. These are some things I'd like to see.
Okay, thank you. And the final question is, you pretty much already started talking about this, but what's the importance of this international collaboration and informing people towards the solutions to the natural disasters and climate anomalies?
Well, yes, collaboration is very important. You find that through collaborations, things that appear difficult, someone has already done it, maybe 10 years ago. They just share that experience, share some of the tools they use, share the outcomes, and the cross-cutting, facets, the sectors that have been affected or the sectors that need to be taken into consideration and all of that. So collaboration is really key. Partnership is the backbone of development. You bring learning experience, expertise from elsewhere without reinventing the wheel. And you find that in most cases, some countries have oversupply of, say, commodity A, just using an example. And this country has none of it,
Yes.
and they're willing to give, sometimes even freely. So that exchange is critical. And I think that is why we are all here today, this week and next week in Brazil, to kind of, pursue some of these things. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.